Beerus is brought before all the destroyers and angels in a trial. The Grand Priest leads it and says that he is being charged as breaking the rules of the destroyers, that they are only supposed to destroy, not interfere with mortals. Beerus steps up and says that he was only trying to protect them, and then he demands a trial by combat. Much like in the manga, a few of the destroyers get together to fight Beerus. Beerus is still pretty strong against all of them, even in a weaker state than his original power. The Grand Priest eventually stops it by saying that this proves nothing and that they are breaking the rules even further by having a civil war within the destroyers. Beerus still demands a trial by combat, so instead of having Beerus fight, they're going to allow him to choose several champions from his universe. Other universes' destroyers are allowed to have their champions from their universe fight against Beerus's, but if their team is eliminated, then that destroyer will be erased from existence. Only about 4 of the universes decide to do it, with Champa's and Belmont's being one of them. One of Belmont's groupies laughs at him, who asks why would he even want to risk something so insane. He gives her a dead look, and she seems to be taken over, bows her head, and remains quiet the rest of the time. Beerus is locked away in a prison, and Whis is being charged with recruiting all of the mortals to fight for Beerus. They decide to have a test run though, so Whis gets Goku, and from Universe 11, Belmont gets Toppo to fight Goku. They fight like they do in the show. Goku only goes Super Saiyan 3 and then is defeated by Toppo, who doesn't waste any time going full power. They only have 2 months to prepare for the tournament. Goku tells Whis that he feels guilty not only for losing against Toppo, but for not being strong enough to defeat the enemies on their own and having to rely on Beerus. He takes command and says that he will recruit the team. The team will be allowed 12 warriors in total. 4 teams will compete to see the guilt or innocence of Beerus. Back in Universe 11, the Pride Troopers, led by Toppo and Dispo, are fighting against Alonso. Their power is outmatched by him as he's almost destroying an entire city on a foreign planet. The Pride Troopers do everything they can to protect them, but are about to be killed. That is until Jiren shows up. Jiren alone is able to defeat the monster, and once he does, he goes up to the people and asks if they're okay. The other Pride Troopers congratulate him on his victory, but he shrugs his shoulders, simply saying that he was doing his job. Belmont comes up to Jiren and asks him personally if he will be joining in the fight against Beerus. Jiren rejects, saying he has no business with the destroyers. Belmont then tells them that Hit will be there, and that they can have a rematch after their first battle. Jiren is very interested, but then shakes his head, saying there are still more important things. Belmont then promises Jiren that if they win, he will use the Super Dragon Balls and wish to know who killed his parents. Jiren has heard enough, stands up and says he will join the fight. Back in Universe 7, Goku's able to easily recruit Gohan, Vegeta, Piccolo, Goten, Trunks, and 18 right off the bat. He tells Krillin and Yamcha that he wants them to fight as well. They both refuse at first, saying that they're far too weak to help do anything, but Goku says there are ways to improve their strength, and so the two agree. Goku then searches for Tien, as they have lost contact with him over the years. They find that he is a dojo teacher in the mountains. He also tells Tien the same thing. The two fight, and Goku is very impressed by how powerful Tien has gotten. He tells them the same thing that Yamcha and Krillin had, that he's simply not strong enough to do it, but Goku reassures him that they will have the ability to teach him new techniques and reach new power levels. Tien then agrees. Goku then goes up to Majin Buu and asks if he will join the fight. Majin Buu asks if he will be given candy if he fights. Goku says that he can have all the candy he wants to so long as he fights, so Majin Buu agrees. The 12th and final spot on the team, Goku ponders on who could possibly be it, and then he remembers that Android 17 is still alive, so he decides to go after him, finding him as a ranger in the park. He goes up to 17 and asks him if he will join. The two have a back and forth, and eventually they come to a gentleman's agreement with the fight to see how powerful each other are. Goku is very impressed, and Android 17 even pushes Goku to go red before he can finally stop him. Android 17 is shocked at the power and asks, "What is this?" He says it's a power far beyond that he could possibly imagine of getting to, and that 17 can reach the same power. Android 17 still says no, as he's not that interested in power anymore, and he also says he has no care for destroyers. Going back to Capsule Corp, he tells everybody the situation. Android 18 steps up and says she'll talk to him. Android 18 goes up to Android 17 in the forest, and the two have a private conversation. The two have a flashback going back to the Cell games. In the flashback, Android 17 and 18 have a discussion on what to do next. Android 18 is very conflicted as she doesn't know what she wants to do next, but doesn't just want to party, which is all Android 17 at the time wanted to do. They have a fight, and they haven't spoken to each other since that day. Android 18 is introduced to Android 17's children. She is shocked by them, and eventually she asks Android 17 if he will please please help them, and he agrees. In Universe 6, the Saiyans begin to train, and they train with Hit, and they have a new member, Kale. Kale is going to be just like she is in the show, very shy and quiet. Hit demands that all the Saiyans transform to the highest power level and attack him one-on-one, and that this is the beginning of their training. Frost decides to go train off by himself, try to enter new limitations that he can break through. In Universe 7, they begin to train. Goku, Vegeta, and Majin Buu train together. In the Supreme Kai's planet, Gohan goes to complete his training with the Elderly Kai, with Videl, Hercule, and Pan. Piccolo, Android 17, 18, Tien, Yamcha, and Krillin all train on the lookout using the hyperbolic time chamber, as well as training with each other. Goten and Trunks train with Whis. Even though I feel this part is definitely a cop-out, we're going to use Majin Buu falling asleep. Now, this is going to be one day right before the tournament begins, so they're going to be short the 12th man. So to make up for this, Goku scrambles and he doesn't know what to do. So he decides to do the only thing he knows possible. Goes after Frieza. Frieza is brought before everybody, and Vegeta tells Frieza if he tries anything, he will destroy him and send him back to hell himself. Frieza only laughs. Goku then tells Frieza that he has to go to the hyperbolic time chamber to train for the one day in order to gain more power. Frieza emerges just in time. Whis then appears to take the group to the tournament. Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, 17, 18, Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, Goten, Trunks, and Frieza prepare to leave and begin the Tournament of Power. When the Dragon Team arrives at the Tournament of Power, they look out on the stage and they see that it's not just a plain marble top. It has different aspects to it, like a forest and an Arctic section with it as well, not just a plain marble top. All the teams for each of the universes arrive, and they're all ranked on the average power level of each of their mortals from their universe. Universe 11's at the top, then Universe 6, then Universe 2, and lastly, Universe 7. A lot of the Pride Troopers laugh and say that Universe 7 will be eliminated quickly and that Beerus will be erased soon. But Jiren says, don't be fooled. Universe 7 is far more powerful than you think, and even that Goku who Toppo fought is far more powerful than you can ever imagine. Beerus is allowed to sit in the stands. He understands why his brother is trying to go after him. He doesn't understand why Belmont, and then he asks Hellas, why are you doing this? She reminds him that he broke her heart by stopping talking to her so long ago. Beerus then reminds her that he was put into a coma. She ignores it and says that that's just an excuse. Jiren and Hit share a stare down. They think back to their last fight they had against each other. Jiren was able to win against Hit, but that's only because the other Pride Troopers interfered, which greatly infuriated Jiren. He tells him that this time, no interference when he fights Hit. He will fight him alone, and he will win. The tournament begins. Massive explosions as they're fighting each other, just like they did in the original show. The first two fights we're going to focus on are Vegeta versus Kaba. Piccolo is going to fight the evil Namekian from Universe 6. We're just going to have him look like Lord Slug to make it simpler. He is the last of the Namekians of that universe, and he is the evil version of Guru. Going over to Krillin, Krillin knows that he can't match the other fighter's power, so what he lacks in pure raw strength, he makes up for with his technique, being a master technician while fighting the other fighters. Yamcha, on the other hand, has become a drunken master. Fighting pretty well in his drunken state, he knocks out a few opponents from Universe 2 and 6, but in his drunken state, he slips and falls and knocks himself out of the ring. He laughs it off as Beerus stares daggers at him. While Jiren is searching for Hit, he runs across Tien. He tells Tien to move and that he has no business with him. Tien then assures him that he has increased his power dramatically, and he says no matter how powerful you've gotten mortal, you'll stand nothing against Jiren. Tien then reveals that he's mastered the art of the Kaioken, powers up, not with a multiplier, but unlocking its true power. He fights Jiren, and Jiren is shocked at how powerful this mortal. While Kaba and Vegeta are fighting each other, Vegeta powers up to Super Saiyan God, and is more powerful than Kaba's Super Saiyan 2. Kaba says it's just not fair. That is until he turns Super Saiyan 3. This forces Vegeta to go blue, and the two have an even stalemate of a fight. Vegeta's proud of Kaba and how far he's come, and is glad to call him a student. The two get separated by a massive explosion, stopping their fight. Back to Krillin, he's fighting Dispo in an interesting matchup between technique versus speed. But in the end, Dispo overwhelms Krillin and knocks him out of the ring. Krillin is not sad, he is happy with how far he's come and proud of himself. Kaba then meets up with Khalifa and Kale, and the three fight against Android 17 and 18. They completely overwhelm the two androids, and eventually combine their power together and knock out both Android 17 and 18. But Android 18 sacrifices herself, throwing Android 17 back in the ring. Back to Jiren versus Tien. Tien is fighting at an amazing rate against Jiren, but he's eventually overcome by Jiren. Respects him as a warrior, having a few scratch marks on him. Jiren powers up to the next level and knocks out Tien. Tien smiles as he's eliminated, knowing that he fought against the strongest and was able to put up a good fight. Goten and Trunks stand before Hit. They both go Super Saiyan 2 and then fuse into Gotenks. As Gotenks goes Super Saiyan 3 and the two fight each other. Hit overwhelms the two boys using his time skip and eliminates them. Beerus begins to sweat, as he knows a lot of his team has already been eliminated. After Hit eliminates Gotenks, he looks up and sees Jiren waiting for him. The two have a stare down just before they begin their battle. Piccolo is able to overwhelm and defeat the evil Namekian. As he does, the evil Namekian sits by himself and thinks about his life. contemplating where he could be going and what could have been him looking at Piccolo. Piccolo is then able to defeat the last member of Universe 2, eliminating their team from the tournament. Hela looks up to Beerus before she is erased. She blows him a kiss and is then erased from existence. Beerus feels shame for what has happened, and he has dragged so many people down with him. Kaba by himself, Android 17 appears behind him, yells at him, and tells him to turn around, and says he wants revenge for his sister. Kaba agrees and the two fight. Piccolo and Frost find each other. The two fight, and Piccolo says he's so amazed by how far his student has come. Frost then transforms to his golden form and eliminates Piccolo with tears in his eyes. He says he's so happy to have met Piccolo and to call him his master. Piccolo says the same, bowing his head. Kaba and Android 17 have had an intense fight. They're both beaten down and worn out. Kaba and Android 17 are evenly matched. They have a ki battle against each other, and the two ki blasts explode, destroying the ground underneath Kaba, eliminating him, and having a bunch of rubble fall upon Android 17. Kaba is ashamed that he has lost, but looks up to Vegeta and says, "If I can't, then you can. Win this for me, master." After Frost has eliminated Piccolo, Frieza appears from the shadows, a dark presence over the ring. Frost knows that he is an evil version of himself. Frieza then goes golden in the two fight. Frieza is able to defeat Frost, but doesn't eliminate him, stomping on his chest and torturing him. Eventually, Vegeta has to come up behind Frieza and tell him to eliminate him. Frieza smiles and kicks him off the ring. The fighting in the tournament stops at once, as all eyes are turned to two men, Jiren and Hit. Hit falls to a knee before Jiren eliminates him, to the shock of everyone. All the destroyers agree. Jiren is unstoppable, and he will win the tournament by himself. Goku finds Kefla from across the tournament. He walks up and asks if she's kept up her training. She smiles and then goes Super Saiyan 2. Goku then also smiles and gets into his fighting stance. The two fight and are pretty evenly matched as Goku's at Super Saiyan 2. Kayla's on the sideline watching, getting more and more emotional with each punch Kefla takes. She eventually rages out and then goes legendary Super Saiyan against Goku. He does the Kamehameha against her, and she still just stands there just like Broly did in the movie. She then goes controlled Super Saiyan Legendary 2, and her and Kefla fight against Goku. Goku goes Super Saiyan 3, but is overwhelmed. He then goes Super Saiyan God, and is able to control both of them. The two girls then decide to fuse, make Kefla. Goku then transforms to Blue, but is still outmatched by Kefla, as she is in her legendary 2 Saiyan form. Goku is then able to do it, and then is able to transform to the initial Ultra Instinct form. He's overwhelming Kefla, but eventually the power runs out as he's not able to control it. Gohan then appears from the shadows and tells his father that he will fight Kefla. The two fight each other just as they did in the manga. Frieza then comes up to Goku and gives him a bit of his energy, restoring Goku back to his full power. Frieza then smiles and laughs. Goku and Vegeta then team up to fight against Jiren, just as they did in the anime. They both power up after seeing Tien unlock his true potential. They do the same for Super Saiyan Blue. 2-on-1, they're able to overwhelm Jiren. Going back to Gohan versus Kefla, the two are exhausted, and the two knock each other out of the ring, as Gohan, Kale, and Kefla are eliminated from the tournament. Champa looks at Beerus, does the same thing he did in the show before he's erased from existence. Beerus feels at his lowest moment at this time, as he's lost his own brother. Android 17 then picks himself up from the rubble and teams up with Frieza to fight against Toppo. Two overwhelm the man until he turns into his God of Destruction form. Now they explain that he is on the same level as the Destroyers, but not as powerful as them, as he would be technically the weakest of them all. Toppo then knocks the golden form out of Frieza and beats the crap out of Android 17. This is when Vegeta tells Goku that he must fight him himself. The two do, and Vegeta's completely overwhelmed. This is until he gets the motivation from seeing Bulma, Trunks, Future Trunks, and Kaba. He pushes himself past his limits and creates a final Gallic gun, and eliminates Toppo, but exhausts himself, going back into his base form as he does it. Jiren fights Vegeta just as he did in the show, knocking him out of the ring. Vegeta then gives Goku a bit of his energy and tells him to do it, Goku turning Ultra Instinct. Jiren then powers up to his full power as well. All the Destroyers and Angels stand up, as two mortals are beyond the powers of most Destroyers. The two have the same fight as they did in the show. Goku is able to defeat Jiren, power is too much for him, and overwhelms his body. Goku and Frieza team up just as did in the show to eliminate Jiren, but this time with help from Android 17. Android 17, just before he's about to be eliminated, kicks himself off and lands back in the arena, and he is announced the winner of the Tournament of Power. Universe 7 celebrates as they're the winners, jumping all over Beerus, who is happy, but definitely conflicted. The Pride Troopers then lift up Jiren, as they're proud of him, even though he feels disappointed in himself. They tell Jiren that they are proud of him, and Jiren then takes them in as his own, saying that he will fight with them from now on, and not just by himself. Before Belmont is to be erased, a dark cloud hovers above the tournament. Beerus stands up and says he knows what happened to him a long time ago. He knows who put him into the coma. Everyone is shocked, and Beerus goes on to explain what happened. Beerus says all the other destroyers had a reason to go after him, except for Belmont. He also says he saw the power of his manipulation earlier with his groupie follower, and that eventually he's able to put together the pieces and know that it was him who did it. Belmont stands up and laughs as he powers up. He explained what had happened to him a long time ago, 75 million years ago. He was training to become one of the original Pride Troopers as the group just begun. Now time works differently in this universe, so technically that would have been for them about 12,000 years ago. He was denied for the Pride Troopers for being too weak. In his anger, Belmont went after the most powerful destroyer at the time, Beerus. He gave Beerus poison that was supposed to kill him, but instead put him in a coma for a long term. Elder Supreme Kai walked in on what was happening and trapped Elderly Supreme Kai in his own sword. When Belmont eventually went to the original founder of the Pride Troopers, he was disgusted and rejected Belmont even more. In his rage, Belmont killed the Pride Trooper. Eventually, Belmont would become a destroyer. Once Jiren joined the Pride Troopers, Belmont saw his power and potential, so he went after the man who killed Jiren's parents, killed him himself, and told him to forever chase after a ghost while under his control. Everyone is enraged, and they ask Whis if he knew. He says he did, but he was trying to prevent a civil war when they found out that Belmont was the man who committed this crime against Beerus. And once Elderly Supreme Kai was released, he asked him to keep it a secret, as he did not want a civil war with the Destroyers. Beerus stands up and says it's too late, and him and Belmont fight. The two are evenly matched, but in the end, Beerus is able to win, and it Kai's Belmont from existence. After destroying Belmont, Beerus makes his wish, and wishes for all the Destroyers except for Belmont to be returned. His wish is granted, and once he is, Toppo becomes the new god of destruction for Universe 11, and Jiren becomes the new leader of the Pride Troopers. Everyone celebrates, but Beerus still looks serious, and he asks the Grand Priest for one more wish. The Grand Priest says, perhaps. Beerus says he wishes to no longer be a destroyer. The Grand Priest then makes his wish come true, and Beerus explains that he no longer wants to be a destroyer because he has broken their rules and broken their tradition, and he wants to regain the strength that he once had. Everyone is sad and confused, but looking for the new destroyer. Goku stands up and says Monako will be a perfect candidate. Everyone falls down and is shocked by this. The Grand Priest, with some sweat falling down, says Monako will be a perfect god of destruction, and is given the title. He's also given a little bit of power, so he's not just completely weak. Kaba, Khalifa, and Frost are very emotional once they see Universe 7 is about to leave, as they don't know if they will ever see them again. But all the Masters, Goku, Vegeta, and Piccolo, reassure them that they will see them again one day. And so Universe 6 says goodbye to Universe 7, as does Universe 11. Beerus then looks at Goku and tells him that he wants to fight him one more time, since they are both now on the same power level. 1 week later, the two fight in the Rocky Mountains. They go through each one of their transformations and powers, but Goku still can't quite master Ultra Instinct until Beerus is able to the full extent of Ultra Instinct, even beyond that of when he fought Jiren. The two fight, and it comes down to one final punch, and Goku is able to win, knocking out Beerus. Later, Beerus and Whis are going to leave Earth, and they tell the Z-Warriors goodbye. Beerus also tells Goku that he wants another fight with him once he's regained his full power that he had in the past, and then some. Goku smiles and agrees. Whis and Beerus then fly off and lead the Dragon Team, ending the Tournament of Power.